call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Timmy Cuamba takes on Chang Lee this Saturday at UFC Fight Night. And this is a good matchup. I feel like this is kind of your traditional striker versus grappler matchup. Timmy Cuamba, really good boxing, fast hands, good combinations. Taking on Chang Lee, calls himself the Korean Khabib. So very aggressive wrestler, looking to get fights to the ground, do damage, ground and pound, hunt for submissions. So Cuamba dropping to 135 pounds in this one. He's been kind of undersized in his UFC career, taking fights on short notice, fighting up a weight class at 155 against Balajioki, fighting at 145 pounds, where I feel like he was kind of always the smaller fighter. Now going to be fighting in his natural weight class against a guy who doesn't have the most polished striking. So I feel like this is a good matchup for Timmy Cuamba. You know, again, Chang Lee, good wrestling, a lot of pressure on the feet, relentless grappling, has really good cardio, you know, can push forward with a lot of intent, and he's really relentless to get the fight to the ground. But I can see, you know, Timmy Cuamba kind of throwing some slick combinations down the pipe as Chang Lee crashes in, you know, very fast punches, straight punches down the pipe, and Chang Lee kind of wings punches at times, you know, keeps his head on the center line when pushing in for the clinch and for the takedowns. And but I like Cuamba's cardio. You know, I think that he recovers well from getting dropped. We saw that in his fight versus Lucas Almeida. He was still able to, you know, push for 3 rounds at a good pace after getting hurt several times. He's tough as nails, has a lot of heart, has a lot of, you know, intangibles, things that you really can't measure from a technique perspective, but that you can see in his fights. You know, his willingness to fight and not give up, and, you know, always looking for the win. Him fighting bigger guys at 145 pounds, I think they'll kind of allow him to deal with the grappling of Chang Lee, not really get pushed back like he normally does, and kind of get bullied in there at times, it felt like, in the Oki fights and the Lucas Almeida fights. And I think that he'll be able to kind of hold his ground a little bit more. You know, he does do well being the guy on the outside. I like his work on the back foot, especially in his fight against Roberto Romero, where he's kind of circling the cage, stepping in with fast combos, landing the kicks, timing the knees to get the finish. And I think he'll do well in those situations as Lee's looking to push forward into the clinch. I think he'll be able to use his lateral movement, his counters, his defensive wrestling, his anti-clinch work. I think that Cuamba's got the better resume. He's fought the better competition. I've never seen him gas or really slow down, even after taking tons of damage in his fights. And he even takes, you know, short notice fights against bigger guys and still has really good performances. Not really good performances, but decent performances given the circumstances. So I think his gas tank will hold up against Chang Lee. Cuamba's got 80% takedown defense, granted not against someone like Chang Lee, who's going to be looking for the takedowns relentlessly. But he's been training in MMA since he was like 10 years old. He's the new breed of fighter who came up, you know, training MMA specifically, not just like one discipline and then transitioning over to MMA. He's 26, so only going to be getting better. Not even in his prime yet. Has 3 UFC fights and a Dana White's Contender Series fight. I think he's got like a boxing KO in Tijuana, Mexico as well. So I am concerned about the gym that he's out of. He's out of like a small gym, BK MMA in Vegas. But he has been training with Dewey Cooper from the beginning of his career, so almost like 15, 16 years now. So I like his potential. I like his composure in the UFC fights against the bigger, more experienced guys. He looked great in his last performance against Romero, you know, the guy that really took it to Onama in the beginning of that fight in his UFC debut. So Chang Lee just kind of unproven, you know, had a scrappy fight with Long Zhao, but hasn't really fought anyone outside of that. And Long Zhao, you know, he's 1-2 in the UFC, so it's really like how good is that win. So I just don't see him being able to keep Timmy Cuamba down for 3 rounds, and I think he'll be getting touched up on the feet. So I'm gonna go with Timmy Cuamba to get this one done. I think that he can land the better strikes, keep it on the feet, and get a decision. Thanks.